Welcome to Rhythm, a journey to empower the youth through well-being and self-discovery. I am Sheena.
And I am Pranav, and we are here with Swami Tarananda, President of Ramakrishna Vedanta Center, New Zealand. Namaste, Swamiji. How are you?
I've been good, thank you. And how you two have been?
I've been good,
Very
thanks.
good, busy.
Good,
In
busy.
the
Yeah,
last episode, you told us a parable about the lion and sheep to illustrate that we are really divine spiritual beings, free, pure, perfect, and fearless, just like lions. However, due to ignorance of our divine nature, we behave like sheep, bound to the five senses, full of fear, and subject to misery.
This is a powerful idea that gives us great strength, especially for the youth. Could you please elaborate when you say that we are divine spiritual beings trapped in ignorance?
definitely, Pranav. I think it's a good idea to explore and how to, you know, personalize the teaching that is given in that fable. That's a story, nice to understand, but how is it relevant to us? So all those teachings are there meant to subjectively explore and understand who we are. Let us start what we know. We all identify ourselves as physical beings. Okay, we have a body, male and female. It keeps on changing with age and all that. And so that part is known to us. Then we have something called the mind. Mind is something within us. What it is actually is not a physical thing, but we think through it, we feel through it, we know things about around the world, we make decisions, we plan, we are happy in that mind, we are unhappy, and all that happens in the mind space. So this body mind identity of what we are is pretty well known to us. But our spiritual teachers, people who went to explore the human, the inner space, not the outer space, they went feeling like an onion beyond the physical body. They turned the mind inwards and penetrated through that. They came to this mental level. And then they went further and they came to something that was even beyond the mind. It became finer and finer and finer. Just like ice is physical, water is the same thing. We'll call that in the mental level. But beyond that is the water vapor, the spiritual dimension of our being. And that is something very, very interesting and new. So when we talk and say that within us there's a divine nature, there's a spiritual being, it is about that inner dimension beyond the body, beyond the mind. There is something that is perfect and pure. And that is what that parable is trying to teach us. That
I'm sorry,
we
Swamiji.
are. Hmm.
Sorry to interrupt, but what do you mean by mental body? Could you elaborate?
Yeah, so physical body we understand. Okay, it's the thing that as got according to we feel, we touch, we have activities of moving, speaking, hands and feet. That is all known to us. We studied that in our biology and all those things.
Yes, yes.
Mind, the mental body. So the Vedic rishis, they're scientists also. When they explored inside, they said that there is a subtle body. Subtle means something that is finer. Finer, just like body is like ice. The same thing when it has got more energy, you heat it, the ice melts into water, it becomes finer. Okay, and that finer body is called Sukshma Sharira or the subtle body. That is made of three faculties, they call it. It's called the intellect, the power through which we discriminate between one thing and the other. We all have that experience within us, isn't it?
Yes.
There is this manas, the mind, the faculty which is by which we interact with the outside world. So it is like we have these five senses: the eyes, the ears, the nose, the skin, and the tongue. And the outside world is an ocean of energy, light energy, sound energy, chemical energy, and all that. When we take that energy into ourselves, it enters into our through our brain into what is called the mind space. And that is then sensed. We interpret it and we say there's a tree out there or this is a beautiful music. All that happens in that mind space. All right. It is finer than the body, and yet it processes all the information that comes in, understands, makes decisions, responds, plans, and all that happens in that mind space. So that's what we call the subtle body, in which all that information is stored and retrieved and processed, and it controls the physical body. That's another important thing. For example,
Okay.
you process the information, and if you see an animal is coming to you, then you say, "What is that animal?" Basically says a tiger or something, then your decision is this is dangerous, I should run. Then the mind gives a signal and the body starts running, type of thing, you know. So all that
Yeah.
is happening in the mind space, and the mind gives the control to the body, the directions to the body, and the body then executes it. So it is the control of the mind. The mind is the controller of the subtle body, is the controller of the gross body. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Swamiji, you said something about the inner dimension, and what is the inner dimension? And if there's an inner dimension, then what is the outer dimension?
So when we say inner and outer, Pranav, outer means gross, inner means subtle. So we gave this example of ice, water, vapor. So the ice will be compared to the physical body, the water to the mental body, and the water vapor would be the spiritual body, mind, spirit. That totality, the three things make what we are. And the reason why we're talking about that is no, a normal education system doesn't talk about all the three dimensions. Am I right? You know, we talk about the physical side of it. We study so much about that. We have a little bit of idea about the mind. We use it, but we don't really understand it. But there is not much space or discussion or acknowledgement of that spiritual dimension of who we are. So when we say the higher dimension or the inner dimension or the subtler dimension, we are talking about that something that is beyond the mind, which controls the mind really.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So when we talk about the lion and the sheep in this story, okay, uh, what does that really mean? So we all have a sense of an identity, like I am, all of us. The moment we get up in the morning or when you're born until we die, we wake up with the idea I am something, isn't it?
Yes.
So I am something. That something is what we identify ourselves with. Am I right? So when this mind can I have different identities, right? Levels of identification. When it is identified with the physical body, then we make this type of statement like I'm male, I'm female, I'm young, I'm old, I'm 50 years old, I'm black, I'm white. These are all the characteristics of the mind body, isn't it?
Yes, and
Yes.
is it good to make associations with the mind and the body? Is there another connection that you can make with like mind and something else?
Yeah. So the first one we talk about is a gross identification, isn't it? With
Yes.
the form. Then the mind identifies with itself, sort of thing. Okay. The emness identifies with the mind, where it says things like I'm happy, I'm unhappy, I know, I don't know, I'm confused, I have
And is
clarity.
that ignorance? Is that like, say, like I am this, I am that? Is that justify the meaning of ignorance?
Ignorance, yeah, there will be, because all this identification of the body is a type of ignorance. Okay.
Okay.
Identification with the mind, according to from the spiritual perspective, it is ignorance of the spiritual dimension, because we are not telling about who I am is. Okay. I am gets covered with something else. All right, you're not telling about yourself, you're telling about the body that you are living in, right or not?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so if you say you're a teacher, no, no, that means that's a profession. But somehow you
Mm.
have identified yourself with the profession. You say, I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, type of thing. I'm interested in finding out who you are, not what you're doing or what body you're living in,
So,
type of
so
thing.
more of an abstract kind of understanding, not
It is.
something linked to like an object or linked to,
Yeah, so
like a
these are all
profession.
objects. You're right. Yeah. So these are objects to which we have become identified with. Okay, they're in technical language called upadhis. It is like something that has covered us, and the spiritual dimension has been covered. Now, something else has been superimposed on that. The body idea has been superimposed on on the spiritual dimension. The mind idea has been superimposed in the spiritual dimension. I amness, just without anything, that is the spiritual dimension. Okay.
Swamiji, I remember one time you telling me this amazing story about the wave and the ocean, which really makes you understand about this whole concept of I and ignorance. Would you please tell us the story?
Oh, the example. So we all have been to the ocean, all right? And what we see when we stand on the beach, we see so many waves. Okay, the waves are appearing and disappearing. They come, they stay for a while, and then they move away. But what are the all the waves made of? Okay, so the wave is a form X, Y, Z. Inside every wave is the same water, H2O, isn't it?
Yes.
And if you do a bit of scuba diving, go inside, what do you see? You see water, water everywhere in all directions. So the ocean is the reality. It doesn't appear, it doesn't stay, it doesn't disappear. But waves appear, remain for a while, and disappears. So everything that is happening on the surface is transitory, but the reality that is not changing, the permanent entity that is the ocean. So
Mm.
likewise, the spiritual dimension of what we are is that infinite ocean, the ocean of consciousness. It's not material, it is not mental, it's a spiritual thing. But out of that, just like all these waves come, all these names and forms come, whether it is a electron, whether it's a little plant or animal or human being or gods, whether it's this planet or galaxy or whole universe. They all come from something which is very fine, which is the substratum of this whole universe. That being we call the ultimate reality, we call the supreme being, we call God, whichever language people want to use it. But there is something there out of which this whole universe and all living beings have come, by which they're all sustained, to which they all return. Agreed? Just like the ocean. You cannot have the waves without the ocean. Agreed?
Yes.
Yes. So, in our example, this body and the mind have come out of something. They remain for a while. When it appears, we say we are born. They remain for some time. That is our lifespan. And at some point, it disappears. Just like the wave appeared, it remained for a while, it disappeared. So, likewise, billions of people come and go. Names and forms come and go.
So, Swamiji, you said how like the waves, like the ocean can't exist without the wave. In the same sense, can you say that the body can't exist, the physical actions of the body can't exist without the mind?
Yes. So, ultimately, we have got two dimensions, two aspects of it. One is the physical body. Okay. Where did it come from? Well, from our parents. All right. The process of reproduction and all that, a body is formed, then we are born, we eat food and all that, the body grows and all those type of things. And at some point, old age or disease might come and the body cannot retain its form, and then it will break down and it will go back to its elements, the five elements. All right. That's the fate of the body. The mind is the software that is in the hardware of the computer. This is where all the knowledge, information, everything is there. It is what processes, runs the computer, so to say, the robot of the body type of thing.
Yeah.
So when we are asleep and the mind is not working, the body is simply lying there, totally unconscious of itself and the surroundings. Agreed? When we
Yes.
wake up,
Yeah.
then we wake up, then the mind becomes activated, and then the senses begin to, function. You begin to see, you begin to hear, and then you activate your physical, what is called organs of action, hands and feet and everything, and then all the activity is happening. So we can conclude from this, actually, it is the mind that is always controlling the body. Agreed?
Yes.
And the mind, we'll probably discuss a little bit deeper what the mind is, but we're just trying here to, set up this framework of who we are really. We have this physical body, we have this mental body with the mind and emotions and feelings and values. And then there is something higher than that, finer than that, ice, water vapor. And that level actually gives the strength to the mind itself. Just like the mind controls the body, something can control the mind, isn't it?
Yes.
So when we say in this parable that we are lions, it is identifying ourselves with that spiritual dimension of ourselves. And that is why people sometimes hear this statement, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Does it make sense now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Of the three, the body idea comes and goes. All right. We see the mind also keeps on changing. We train ourselves, we educate ourselves, we have different experiences and all that stay stored in the mind. You're going to college and university, that is
Yes.
training the mind because
Yeah.
from the childhood, you see how it's all gaining in experience and knowledge and all those things.
Yeah.
But behind that, that which makes this body and mind conscious, we might say consciousness, because we are a conscious being, isn't it?
Yes. But with a very malleable mind. It's flexible, adaptive.
Yeah, that it is like, for example, to give an example, so you see, have a light bulb. The light bulb is a physical thing, all right?
Yes.
Then when you switch on the electricity, the bulb lights up. Okay, so it releases a light energy around it. Okay, which comes.
Yes.
But what causes that light to come out in the bulb?
The current,
Electricity, isn't it?
electricity. Yeah.
Okay, so without the electricity, will the light be there?
No.
No.
No. So likewise, within us is that consciousness. When it works through the mind, then all this, the light of understanding and feelings and emotions begin to come. All right. And when that electricity is switched off, then the body is there, the bulb is there, there's no light in there. We can use this a bit of a gross example, but what it does convey to us is there is something which is more than the body and the mind, behind this body and the mind, which actually is the essence of who we are. And so, in that parable of the sheep and the lion, being the sheep means just being identified with the body and a little bit of mind. Okay, then we are not any different from the animals. We eat, we drink, we procreate, we just try to be happy, exist, survive like that. And being identified or knowing ourselves as the lion is to know ourselves as that being in the spiritual dimension of who we are. And what does that mean? That spiritual dimension is the most beautiful, powerful essence of who we are. And those who have dived deep within themselves and experienced that dimension come and say that As the spirit, Pranav, we are immortal. We don't die. The body dies, okay? The mind also disappears, but the spirit is permanent. Waves appear and disappear, but the ocean is permanent. Then the body is finite, limited.
Yeah.
It's got limitations of how much it
Yes.
can do, what you can see, how much you can see, what you can hear. But in the spiritual dimension, we are infinite consciousness. We are omnipotent. We are all knowing. Because in the body, we are just using the five senses to know, isn't it?
Yes.
But when we go beyond the limitations of the body and the mind, then as a spiritual being, we are omniscient, all knowing. That is
And Swamiji, I just have one question. What is the difference between the mind of a sheep and the mind of a lion? Like, what's the difference between?
okay. So in all this, we said this identification thing, I amness, isn't it?
Yeah.
The mind is like like the radio in the old radio where you can tune it up or down to different stations.
Yes.
So we can say the body is one station, the mind is, or the mental space is another station,
Mm-hmm.
and the spiritual dimension is third station. The mind can go up and down. When it comes down to the lowest level, then it receives the physical body station signal. All right, and it says,
Yes.
"I behave like a sheep. I have a body, and I'm hungry, and this and that, and that's where it dwells in." Most people probably live in that space. Animals definitely live in that space. The human being goes a little higher, and he can identify himself as the mind, and that's what you tell in your biodata and CV. This is who I am. Blah blah blah. About your mental condition, mental states. I'm happy, I'm unhappy, I'm joyful, and I'm educated, I'm ignorant. That is all about I amness with the mind. Then, what these spiritual teachers say, scientists say, when they explored beyond the mind, they say this same radio station, internal radio station, can be shifted to a higher level, or inner level, or final level, subtler level, where we experience ourselves as a spiritual being. And of the three experiences, the spiritual experience is far, far superior to the other two, the mental and the physical. And that is present in all of us. So when we say ignorance, it's ignorance of our spiritual self.
Okay.
And this knowledge in the old ancient spiritual system was taught to all children, right from childhood. They will be taught about these dimensions, all the three dimensions of our being, and not only taught, but how to manifest it, how to experience them. Unfortunately, in our Western education system, this type of knowledge is not given to us. And that's
Well,
why,
that's why we have this podcast.
so it's about exploring ourselves. It's not about knowing some being outside or God, it's about knowing ourselves, isn't it? And
Yes.
it's a very powerful thing that is within us. And just like the sheep, which was all full of fear and all that, suddenly realizes he is like the lion, then all fear goes, strength comes. Likewise, if we can also realize ourselves as a spiritual being, then we are strong, we are powerful, and we do wonderful things in this journey of life, isn't it? And that's
Yes.
the whole idea why we're trying to introduce that, because learning about these things in old age is not of much use, because whole life has gone, isn't it?
Yes.
To learn that at young age, at your age, and and apply that in your whole journey of life, can transform this whole life experience into something wonderful. And that is the knowledge or the gift, spiritual gift, that we would like to share, especially with the younger generation like you.
Well, ending off that note, I'd say we learned about quite a lot of things today, especially through like the metaphor, for example, where like You said that the ice is like the physical body, the water is like the mental body, the vapor is like the spirituality. And we also talked about how like the physical body is like well known to us, but the mind gets finer and finer and is slightly less known, and and how we're talking about like spirituality and how we're developing our understanding of it has been very beneficial to, I think, our listeners. Um, there's a lot that we learned, and we also talked about how usually in society we associate ourselves with our professions, but instead we should perhaps try and associate ourselves with the more finer, internal, and abstract ideas. Um, and we also talked about how like there's a lion within all of us. And so thanks for your time, Swamiji. And yeah.
Most welcome, Pranav. I think that's a good start with the knowledge. Maybe in the next episode, we should have a look. What's the utility of this knowledge? If somebody has it, how does that person's life become transformed? And if somebody does not have this, how the life could be different? And why in the ancient education system they call this knowledge higher knowledge. They use the Sanskrit word aparavidya and paravidya. Paravidya is about the self knowledge, knowledge of our spiritual self. That was very, very important. And when both are given together, then it makes a complete package of our education. So the utility, if we do not understand, then we will not strive for it. Maybe in the next episode, let us explore the power of this idea, what transformation it can bring about in the life of a person, in the journey of their life, if they have access to this knowledge applied in a practical way. What do you say?
I'm I'm looking forward to hearing about all of this, and I'm sure our listeners are as well. Thank you, Swamiji, for your time.
Most welcome, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Okay, sweet. See you. Bye.
See you.